All right, so we're right in the middle of doing a SketchUp for a little table stand that I want to make, and just wanted to give you an idea of just the thought process that goes on once you get used to SketchUp. So for instance, right now what we're looking at is these are like 3 by 3, these are 4 by 2 or something like that. Again, I've got the table started. I've already selected some wood grain to make it kind of, I just like when I work SketchUp, I like to show the wood grain rather than the white. It's a little slower working, but I want to, again, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to share with you my thoughts as I click, and you can just see what goes through your head once you get used to this. All right, you ready? So here we go. All right, so I decided that I wanted these to be in a little closer to instead of being centered in the middle here, I want them to go up a little closer. So I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, and I can't see this one over here, so I'm going to orbit over a little bit, and now I can click that one, and I don't really want those two, so I'm going to shift and I'll take these two. Now that I've got these two in blue, you can see I want to move them over a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing over here now on this side. I'm going to zoom in so I can be a little bit more accurate. Oops, I can't see them, so I'm going to zoom in some more. And then because I've already grabbed these two, I'm just going to be able to move those inside. I want them up against the edge. Now I need to get these two over, so I'm going to take that, click on those the way I need to click on those. I'm going to move those over to the corner. And now I want to grab this one, and again I'm going to move those over to the corner. And so basically what I have now is that all of these rails are tucked up into the corner, not spread, there's no offset there. The offset becomes a problem in dealing with something else. Eventually I'm going to put a plate in here, and that offset wouldn't be square. In fact, let's just go ahead and do the plate since we're there. I'm going to do a save right now. I did a control save. Because I want to put a plate in there that's going to attach to the table above it, I clicked on rectangle. I have my rectangle. I tend to move it over to the side a little bit, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to make it a component, and I'm going to call it whatever, board, be a board under. It could even be a steel plate. In fact, let's make it a steel plate aluminum, since that's what we're going to use this for. So aluminum plate under, because we're going to drill some holes in that, and that's how everything's going to get attached. Now I'm going to bring it back to where it belongs, and there's reasons I pulled it off to the side like that. Okay, now I have my component. I'm going to orbit so I can get underneath it. All right, nothing is flat right now. There's no thickness to it whatsoever, so I'm going to pull it down, and I'm going to make that a 1/4 inch plate. So now I just type in, if you can see on the lower right hand corner under distance, I'm going to type in 1/4. It automatically assumes it's in inches, so 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to orbit back over, so I've got my plate in there. I could move this off, or a copy of it off to the side here if you want. Okay, I'm going to control Z that to get it back. Then I'm going to go to my materials. I'm going to go to select. I'm going to go down to metal. Here's metal. I'm going to go to aluminum. I'm going to click on aluminum. I now have aluminum plate. Let's see here once. What the heck, since we're this far. I want some holes in that plate so I can screw it up into the tabletop above it. So I'm going to click T and start to put some lines in here. I think I'll put them in about, let's just say 2 inches. Yep, that's good. Okay, it's 2 inches here. I can always move these, so I put 2. Oops, that was not a good one. Come in 2 again, and then come in 2 again. Now I'm going to zoom in, get to these spots where I'm going to drill some holes, and I'm going to zoom in a little more. You can start to see the wood grain and all that, and one of the problems with that is that it takes longer for the screen to constantly rebuild, so it gets kind of slow and doggy. So I'm going to go up here and click on smooth, and that way it's a lot faster for now, and then I can just switch it back. So I'm on the plate. I'm going to double click on it so I can do my circle in there, and I'm staying on the line, and I'm going to make that a 3/8 inch hole, so I actually have a 3/16 diameter. Again, this is the thought process that has to go through your head as you're doing SketchUp. I always, anything round, I always want to make a center, crosshairs. So again, I'm making sure that by seeing the dotted line that I'm working on that. I'm going to do a L for line. That's a speed key. I'm going to put another one here. And now basically what I have is a crosshairs so that I can find the center of that circle later. That's really handy. Now what the heck, I already have one, so I might as well just, rather than doing a new one, I can just take that one and I can make a copy of it. I can move it. Is it going to work? Yep, it is. Okay. I find those other places where I had it before. There we go. I got her. And then since we have that one already, what the heck? Might as well just capture that guy. We got both of them now, and we're going to move them over to the right, and we're going to make holes out of them. They're not holes yet, they're just circles with crosshairs in the middle. And then I'm going to put that there. So now I have the 4 places where the bolts are going to be, or the bolts can go through. And I'm going to select that item. You can see the dotted line. I'm going to do my push-pull. And oops, I want to push it all the way to the other side of the plate, but I can't see the other side of the plate, so I'm going to hide this one right here so that I can see it. And then I can go ahead and zoom in a little bit. See, now I can see the edge of this plate. I'm going to go back to my plate. I'm going to go back to my hole. I'm going to push pull. I'm pushing it down by using that little edge down there right to the hole. So I went through the plate, but not any further than that. Now SketchUp remembers what I just did in terms of the depth, so I can just push pull these. I can double click. I got my hole there. I got my hole there. I got my hole there. So now what I have is 4 holes, all 3/16 of an inch, and I have my crosshairs so that I can find that quite easily. Again, that may not seem like a big deal right now, but it is later. And what happens is I'm going to be able to put some bolts in there and line up, use the crosshairs to line those up. So I'm back down now to look. Let's look at, see how our tabletop or base is coming along. Oops, I'm missing these guys right here, right? Because I hid those before. So I'm going to go up to Edit, Unhide All, and lo and behold, there they are. And then just to keep things from getting too messy, I've got all these dotted lines all over the place. It gets a little crazy after a while, so I'm going to go up to Edit, delete the guides, so because we don't need them anymore. I can bring them back later if I had to. And again, this is kind of a plain thing here. The finish is not wood, so I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to click on, unclick that. I'm going to click on the wood, and there we go. Now we have our wood again, and we have kind of a aluminum looking thing. So we now have our base. I'm going to do one more thing here so that I can start to show more things later. I'm going to start putting things into a group. So down here, I've got this one, I've got that one, I've got that one, and that one. I want to make those into a group. I'm going to go to this one, this one, this one, and this one, and make those into a group. And then I'm going to take my legs, boom, 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 make those into a group. And so then I can just reduce groups. I can hide that there. I can hide this. I can hide this. I can bring it back anytime I want. Now what I'm down to is a plate. I can say to my metal guy, hey, I need a plate, or I can do it myself, all right? I can call our metal provider. I say, I need a plate. And then I would probably drill in the holes myself, or I can, if I'm going to do a whole bunch of them, I can ask them to do them, pay them for it, of course. But I need to know where those holes are, so I would tell them, I'm going to take my line here, I'm going to put it over to the crosshairs. I'm going to put this line to the crosshairs. Then I'm going to go up to my dimensioning tool, and I'm going to go from here to here and say, all right, those holes need to be a 2-inch offset from this side, and then a 2-inch offset from this side. And there's ways that you can also tell them the size of the hole. 2 different ways, really. One is I suppose I could, might as well do this. I can take my line there, take it to the edge, take it to the edge here. And basically now what I'm going to have is a method of labeling this. So now that's a 3/8 inch hole. And then I want to get rid of those dotted lines so they don't confuse anybody. Again, I'm going to go Edit, delete guides, and there we go. So I have a 3/8 inch hole, tube 2, and then in the cover letter to the steel guys, I would say, this is this, oops, I didn't tell them what size the plate was, forgot about that. So I'm going to dimension that plate, It's 12 by 12. And then I could kind of say, well, I'll probably in the cover sheet just say it's a half-inch thick. I could do it on here, but when you go to a large item like this, and then you go to a small dimension, sometimes that gets lost. I don't like these lines. This one right here showing, and this one. Those are my guidelines. So I'm just going to tell the axis. I'm going to remove those, and then right now, what I could basically do if I wanted to, would be to if I wasn't already recording, I would do a screen capture of just the item. So I would screen capture this, and then I could say print, or I could screen capture it and say save it as a JPEG. I can ship that off email it off to my steel guy and say, hey, here's what I need. Give me a price on aluminum 12 by 12. Here's the dimensions. I need 4 holes in it. Here's where they're going to go. Every hole is the same 2 by 2 offset. I have a 3/8 inch hole. Oh, I don't like that dimension there is kind of small. So I'm going to go up to, again, these are the thought processes that go on. This is like crazy, but I'm going to go to model information, and I'm going to say my fonts for the dimensioning are too big because they just take up too much space. So I want to lower the font size down to, I'm going to go down to 8. So there I go to 8. I say OK. I say select all the dimensions, and then I say update the selection. So now, instead of all being a font of 12, now they're all a font of 8. And I can again, even if I'm going to send this, if I'm going to send this off to the steel guy, rather than having the nice texture finish here, I'm going to go up here and click on smooth, and it just takes that distraction away. So basically that's what I got now. And then, oh, I do like this view right here. Let's see, maybe we want this view here. Okay, so I'm going to go up to view. I'm going to say animation. I'm going to add a scene so that I can come back to this whole thing later, this exact view. And like if I'm going like this right now, right? I'm looking at the bottom. I go, oh, where was I before? So I can go up here, and it goes back automatically, and then I can name that view so that I can recall what it is. It's like top or side or something like that. So that's basically, in a really quick nutshell, what something you can do with SketchUp when you're doing with woodworking and or steel.